An ex-commander just went on social media and said something about Washington that he is going to regret come Week 9 at Northwest Stadium. And in a minute, I'm going to show you exactly why his own team already answered him before we even had to. But that's not even the biggest story today. John Kane from ESPN just revealed the hole that could destroy Jaden Daniels' season. There are two names on Peter's radar to fix it, and one of them has a homecoming angle that most of the DMV is sleeping on. And you need to know why that could be a serious mistake. All of that, plus what the 2026 schedule is actually telling us about this team that nobody is reading right. Burgundy and gold. Let's get into it. That's what Emanuel Forbes posted on social media the moment the NFL dropped the full 2026 schedule. And look, first time I saw it, I laughed. Then I thought about it for 2 seconds and said, bro, for real, let's put everything in context because the Emanuel Forbes story in Washington is one of the messiest chapters of the recent era. 2023, the Ron Rivera administration, Washington used the number 16 overall pick of first-round selection fam to get a cornerback out of Mississippi State named Emanuel Forbes. The moment that pick was announced, half the football world said it was a reach. That Christian Gonzalez, who came off the board later, was clearly the better player at that position. Rivera insisted. He said he pulled off a heist, and fans gave him the benefit of the doubt. That didn't last long. Rookie year, Forbes lined up against the Eagles. A.J. Brown dismantled him not once, not twice. He took him apart so badly that his teammates had to console him on the sideline. On camera, all of us saw it, and that right there tells you everything you need to know about how his time in Washington started. He finished that rookie season with 14 games, 6 starts, and the kind of numbers that don't justify a first-round pick under any circumstance. Rivera got fired. Adam Peters and Dan Quinn walked in the door, and what they did was exactly what needed to be done. They cut him. No drama, no long press conference. He wasn't the right fit for what they were building. And they moved on. The Rams claimed him off waivers. Good for him. A second chance. But here's the detail that makes his tweets so funny. After Forbes' season in Los Angeles in 2025, the Rams went out and gave up 4 draft picks, including a first-rounder, to bring Trent McDuffie over from the Chiefs. And then they handed McDuffie a 4-year, $124 million contract. A record for a cornerback. Then they signed Jalen Watson, another Chiefs corner, for 3 years at $51 million. And on top of all that, the Rams declined Forbes' 5th-year option. So while Forbes is out here typing, "Get back, don't have a date," the Rams are literally building a cornerback room on top of him. 2 former Chiefs who cost over $175 million combined. That's not respect. That's replacement, fam. If I'm Forbes, I'm focused on making the 53-man roster in LA, not sending messages to Washington. But okay, since he said it, let him know the date exists. Week 9, Sunday, November 8th, 2026, Northwest Stadium. And if there's one thing the DMV crowd knows how to do, it's bring that energy when it matters. That building is gonna be loud. That is not a debate. Look, I don't have hatred for Forbes. The man had an unfortunate situation in Washington, drafted by a coach who no longer exists, for a scheme that no longer exists, and ended up being one more casualty of the Rivera era that Peters and Quinn inherited and cleaned up. I understand there's something there emotionally, but there's a big difference between having something to prove and going on social media to talk trash when you haven't even confirmed you're a starter on your current team. Say it on the field, Emanuel. Week 9 is right there waiting for you. While the scheduled talk dominates the cycle, there's a deeper conversation that can't be ignored, and it's one that Commanders fans have been shouting at this organization for months. The receiver room is incomplete, and I'm not the only one saying it. John Keem from ESPN, one of the most connected insiders in Washington, dropped a note this week where multiple league sources, former coaches, former executives, all landed in the same place. The Commanders need a legitimate number 2 wide receiver alongside Terry McLaurin. That's what the league is saying. That's what the fans are saying. And honestly, the numbers back it up. McLaurin is elite. McLaurin is the engine of this passing attack. But last year, he dealt with injuries at key moments. And if something happened to him during the 2026 season, what does Washington have behind him? Luke McCaffrey has potential, but is still developing. Jalen Lane, Treylon Burks, Diami Brown, they're pieces, not solutions. And Antonio Williams, the 3rd-round rookie out of the draft, has real hype around him, but asking him to step in as a WR2 from day one is too much pressure to put on a rookie. Kay mentioned two external options that are on the radar. Brandon Ayuk and Stephon Diggs. Ayuk is still under contract in San Francisco. That situation hasn't resolved itself, and until the 49ers make him available, Washington can't do anything. Diggs is a free agent, and the homecoming angle is real. He's DMV. He'd love to come back, but the Commanders haven't shown legitimate interest yet. Look, I could be wrong here, but I think Peters is waiting to see what this offense looks like internally before spending on a veteran receiver. And that logic makes sense if David Blau's system as offensive coordinator unlocks players who haven't broken out yet. But if we get to week 1 against Philadelphia without a trustworthy number 2 wideout, that conversation is going to get very loud, very fast. The money is there. The need is clear. The window is still open. The ball is in Peters' court right now, and that man has not missed yet when the moment called for it. And while all of that is simmering, there's preseason news that's already shaping up the summer in Ashburn. The Commanders are going to have joint practices with the Miami Dolphins ahead of their first preseason game on August 16th at Northwest Stadium. Dan Quinn has done this both of the last 2 seasons, first with the Jets, then with the Patriots, and at this point, it's built into his preparation philosophy. The man knows that joint practices are where you actually see what your guys can do against real competition. Miami shows up to these practices with a completely reinvented roster. McDaniel is out. Tua is gone. Tyreek Hill is gone. Jeff Hafley is the new head coach. John Eric Sullivan is running the front office. And Malik Willis is the quarterback. This is basically a brand new team, and these joint practices are going to be a legitimate test for both sides. On Washington's side, the anticipation is all about seeing Jaden Daniels healthy and operating at full speed, watching how David Blau's system works as an offensive coordinator for the first time, and seeing what this reinforced defense looks like under Durante Jones calling the shots. As for the full 2026 schedule, and there is a lot here, the highlights are clear. Washington opens with back-to-back road games, first in Philadelphia, then in Dallas. That hasn't happened since 2012. RG3's rookie season. The bye week lands in week 7, one of the earliest this team has seen in years. 5 nationally televised games, including a Sunday night football showdown with the Eagles in Week 8 that has playoff implications written all over it, and Santana Moss already has his 3 circled. Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Minnesota, where Washington is trying to snap a 4-game road losing streak. The 2026 season has its shape, and it looks heavy. But this team was built for exactly that. Y'all, the schedule is locked in, the rivals are marked, the primetime games are set, and there's a cornerback in Los Angeles who already sent his message to the DMV. Everything is in place for 2026 to be what Commanders fans have been waiting for. A complete team, an elite quarterback, and a roster built to actually win. If you made it this far, you already know what to do. Drop that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and tell me down in the comments, do you think Peters needs to sign Stephon Diggs before training camp opens, or do you trust the receiver room as it stands right now? I want that conversation. That's what the comment section is for. Raise hail. See y'all in the next one.